Hey there everybody, Brian here at Fitzpatrick's. In this video I want to show you this really nice car here. This is a 2018 1.5 VTEC Turbo Honda Civic, and this is what's called an S design model. Anyway, in this video I want to run around all the features that are on the outside and the inside of the car, and we'll go for a quick drive. And by the end of the video then, I hope you'll have a better idea of what this car is all about. If you're familiar with any of the advertising that I've done, you will probably be aware that this is definitely one of my most favourite cars. And cars like this, they probably won't make them for really much longer. This car is actually currently discontinued, brand new. And unfortunately, the next car that comes to Ireland, well, not unfortunately, the next car that comes to Ireland is going to be petrol hybrid, which I know is definitely going to be nice to drive and comfortable. But it's just not going to be as exciting as that was. I really love them cars because I suppose they reminded me of some of the cars I used to have when I was younger. Things like VTEC Civics and stuff like that. They were easy enough to run, but there was good performance. A bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. It was the kind of car that anyone could drive, and lots of people did. And there's some people that drove these cars and never even knew that they were a quick car. But for anyone like myself, you know, there's like 180 horsepower and you can drive it hard, but you can still look mature and look like you're doing the right thing as well by just having a nice car. Just really good all-rounder, and like I said to you, they ain't going to make cars like this anymore. I think for anyone, if they look at the price point this car is at, for the amount of performance, the amount of fun you're getting, but for a car that's actually easy to run, and it just makes a nice change from all the other cars you see on the road that lots of people buy, things like Audis and BMWs and stuff like this. And just like we're saying, at this price point, I just think it's good value for money. And cars like this, with Brexit and things like that have happened, they're pretty much unimportable from the UK. So cars like this, even if you buy a car like that, drive for a year or two, they're still holding value very well. But anyway, shut up with the sales pitch, I hear you say. But I suppose, look, these are things I actually believe, so that's why I'm telling you. But yes, is the sales pitch? Yes, but they're all kind of true. Anyway, what we're going to do is have a look specifically at the features on the outside of the car, go for a quick drive in the car and look at the features on the inside, and then by the end of the video you'll have a good idea if this is the right car for you. Some of the really cool features in this car, I love the headlights because they're all LED, so you get a nice LED daytime running light, the dipped headlights, the full headlights and the indicators. They're all LED as well, and they give like really excellent performance, but they look cool as well. Even things like, and I'm a bit old school, I love headlight washers. Again, it just looks like an upmarket car with those. Even the front fog lights are LED as well. And because this is a 1.5 turbo, then it also gets a little skirt along the front. It also gets a skirt on the side, and we're going to see something similar on the back. The skirts that are on the front, the side and the rear are actually in a nice gloss black. So what I mean by that, it's a nice shiny black finish, whereas if you look at something like the 1 litre or the diesel version, it's a matte finish and it's much less pronounced. The 1.5's also got this really cool sports exhaust on the rear. There's a little hum off it, it's not too noisy. But when you step into the car and start it, there's a little hum. You know you're in something that's just a little bit special. Like I was saying to you, it's not too loud, just enough, nice and subtle. A little bit hard to tell because it's so bright. These tail lights are all LED all the way around. So when you're driving behind one of these at night time, you have these big LED lights. The rear end of the car is really nice and aggressive, and unlike other things, and that's what I like about these cars. People tend to buy them because they want something that looks a bit different than the predictable cars that are on the road already. The car has this dark gloss black spoiler, which actually mimics the black on the taillights, which looks pretty cool as well. And then it has a spoiler up high as well along the roofline, and that actually channels air off the rear of the car in an aerodynamic way, but it looks pretty cool as well. The rear windows are also really dark black privacy. One thing on these cars as well, because you have all the black down low, on a 1.5 they specifically have black around the window line as well, so there's no chrome on the car anywhere. So in this car it's all black and blue. The wheels are also a really nice diamond cut finish. One important point on this car, these wheels, we see the diamond cut is kind of nice and shiny and reflective and stuff like that. The wheels are in perfect condition. The reason I say perfect is because they're brand new. So on these Civics I actually find, unfortunately, the wheels are very, very wide on the car and they're prone to getting scratched, and nearly, I'd go as far as saying, every single Civic I take as a trade-in can tend to have little chips on the wheels, and I just think that's not good enough when someone's buying a car. So these wheels are absolutely perfect. So like you're saying, this is a fun car, but we actually have a Civic at home because the boot is massive. The boot is really super big, so you can actually have a car that's fun and it's still got some practical elements as well. And as you can see there then, if you want, you have this parcel shelf, which some people used to think was a little bit flimsy, but if you go on holidays and you pack up stuff, you'll start to see the advantage even of having a completely flexible rear shelf. In terms of practicality as well, you can drop those back seats and you end up basically with a load area that's the same as a car style van. So like I said to you, in terms of performance, the car is 182 horsepower. You'll see when we drive it, 0 up to 100 kilometers an hour in about 7.9 seconds. But what's great about a car like this is they are really efficient. So you should average about 5.5 to 6 litres per 100 kilometers, which is about 50 or so miles per gallon. And that's provided obviously you don't drive like a complete idiot. But actually, to be fair, there is a 1 litre version of these, there's a diesel, and then there's this 1.5 petrol. I actually think the 1.5 petrol is a little bit easier on fuel than the 1 litre, and that's not a sales pitch. I have no agenda here. Most people that buy these cars, they probably won't drive economically anyway, and they probably don't care. But it's just a surprising car as to how easy it can be on fuel, considering the performance that's on the car. To be fair, the car drives good, it looks really good as well. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the features on the inside, and we'll actually go for a drive after that then. Keeping on with pragmatics on this car for the moment. So the rear of the car, there is child locks back here, electrics for windows here, and child locks back through there. Did I say that? Child locks twice? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So, tweeter, speaker, and then just a brushed aluminium door handle, 3 head restraints, 3 3-point safety belts, armrest in the centre with some drinks holders, and then after that ISOFIX points on both sides here on the rear. And in terms of size in the back, if I sit behind myself, privacy glass actually really good for if you've no kids. It's actually really handy, something I only learned when we had kids. So it looks nice, but it actually does darken the back of the car quite a lot. So in terms, this is the headroom I'll have, this is the legroom I'll have, sitting behind myself as 6 foot, sitting behind someone that's sitting back at 6 foot. And there's a ton of safety in these cars. Like, there's steel bars all the way down the side of all these doors for side impact protection. Again, nice brushed aluminium along through here, electrics for windows and mirrors. And one thing worth mentioning is the key does have some functionality for letting down the windows, or similarly for locking the windows as well, and retracting those wing mirrors too. So we touched on safety already. On a car like this, like I said, steel bars for side impact protection, airbags up around the curtains, airbags on the side of the seats, airbags in the front, obviously the dash and all that stuff, fine. And then you got all the other safety features that are on Hondas, things like a lane. So if you drift out of your lanes, it'll vibrate to warn you. But also you have something intrusive which will actually try and keep you dead center in the lanes when you're driving as well. The brakes are really excellent on a car like this as well. So like we're saying to you, a nice car to drive, fun, quick, but also safe. And I suppose for some people it's going to be a family car, so practical in terms of the boot, safe all the way around. Even other things like speed sign recognition, so it tells you the current speed sign and you can get it to warn you if you're exceeding that speed limit. Like the lights dip themselves when you meet traffic, or they go into full by themselves, and obviously daytime, nighttime, they come on and off themselves as well, and the wipers come on and off when it rains. So there's like loads of stuff going on. You'll see when we're driving the car, so there is an iMid function that is over through here, so I can change this information. If you see, I just keep pressing the button there, fine. One of my favourites, so like, you know, maintenance and how much fuel is left in the car and average fuel usage and all that kind of stuff as well. 6.1 this car's been averaging over its life, which is, you know, pretty damn good. So in through there, that is a boost gauge, so if you're an idiot like me, you're going to really enjoy that. Over here there is a reverse camera with different modes, and then parking sensors front and rear, so it tells you here what's going on and it tells you over here as well. Just for anyone that was curious, over here is where it tells you the current speed zone when you're driving through it. Right navigation in through there, but for most people they're going to use things like a smartphone connection, which is Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is going to give you things like Google Maps and all that kind of stuff. Bluetooth up here to take calls, general Honda apps. I'm going to be honest, there's not much going on with that. Really, the most things you're going to use is phone, music, and then after that navigation or smartphone connection, which, like we're saying to you, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is going to use all the apps that are on your phone, like maps and music and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of duplicates. Climate then is dual zone, so I've got different temperatures on each side of the car, so driver and passenger are controlled independently, and then the climate button controls this menu which pops up, and it's touch and swipe and all that kind of stuff up through there. There is some storage in through here. There is HDMI if you want to play video, there is USB connector number 1, and then there's another USB connector in there, some drinks holders down through there. You can take this out and turn it around. It's just a really practical car. Even things like, I like these pedals because they're aluminium, so you know they're good to use, but I think they look pretty nice as well. These are other controls we talked about, like lane keep assist, autonomous braking, which under 30 kilometers an hour, actually, if you don't hit the brakes and you're about to impact something, the car will try and stop you. Headlight washers. Anyway, let's go for a drive in this car just to see. Like, I love how the car looks, but I really love how it drives. Let's have a look. For me, the most exciting thing I saw in these cars was the boost gauge when I got it at them first, and it still kind of is the most exciting thing for me. The cabin's lovely, it's really straightforward, everything's easy to use, it's within reach, and the condition actually throughout is really nice on this car as well. But let's just move back to my favourite part. So in terms of driving this car, acceleration wise, I like these cars, love to rev. The gears changes are quite nice, and you know, it might look like I'm driving the car really hard on this, but this car is able to do this all day long. It's a really, really reliable unit. We've had really good feedback on it. and it's a really enjoyable car to drive. Lots of power, getting onto the motorway up to 120 kilometers an hour. You know, you'll always find it really interesting, exciting, and maybe you don't drive like that. Maybe you'd rather cruise like what we're doing here, and it's a nice cruiser as well. And actually the car is really wide, so when you're driving one of these, one of the impressions you'll get from it is low to the ground. It feels really wide, but when you're going over like kind of bumps and compressions and stuff like this, it feels really sure-footed. So it's a car, because it's got independent suspension on all four corners, unlike the previous model before that. So it feels like a much more sure-footed car than the model that went before. And the gear change is lovely. Don't take my word for it, read any review. Everyone always says the gear change is really nice on these cars. In this kind of car, I mean, thinking about all the other cars that are in the segment and all the other cars that we kind of sell that are in a similar size, I just find this to be the most entertaining to drive. And like you're saying to you, there's just not a lot of cars that are going to be made like this anymore. So I think it's probably one of the last chances if you want to buy a car that's easy to run but also fun. That is just a pretty car. It looks really, really cool, so it does. Anyway, if you would like to own a car like this, or I suppose more to the point, if you actually want to own this particular car here, Brian's my name, 086 843 1945. If you want a car that looks really cool, if you want a car that's fun to drive, if you want a car that's got good horsepower, if you want a car that's something a bit different, if you want a car I think that's going to hold the value well, if you want a car that's safe, and really in my opinion lots of other things, then this is definitely worth considering. So like we're saying to you, this is what's called an S design model 1.5 VTEC Turbo. And Brian is my name at Fitzpatrick's Garage, Dublin Road, Kildare. We are a main Honda dealer. There will be 12 months warranty with the vehicle. The car gets serviced and prepared properly before collection. So if there's any more information you want on the car, 086 843 1945. Give us a shout if you want to know about trading in your car, about financing the car, something else you want to know. Or if you're watching on YouTube and you think the video is useful and I've missed out something, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer it. And hopefully the video has been useful, and thanks a million for watching.